Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing a Q&A session, a bit of a cook along with myself and Oliver, and we've got some really interesting questions coming up, haven't we, Oliver?
Of course we have some.
Of course we have. Of course we have some. What's that supposed to mean? And with the first question that we've got, Oliver, what's that first question?
Which is, why weigh the water? Why not just use a measuring jug?
Why weigh the water and not just use a measuring jug? Well, to be fair, I mean, you're doing GCSE science.
Well, yes, as is every child in secondary school.
Yeah. So actually, to put it to the test and to actually see if his taxes are working, Oliver, do you want to answer that actually?
You would just weigh the water because 1 gram of water is equal to 1 ml of water, 1 cc of water. So it's all just one. It's equivalent 1-to-1 ratios.
So getting back to science, what we'll do is I think we should actually have a bit of an experiment to see if that's right. How's that sound?
Yeah, great. Right, so what we're gonna do. Obviously, bowl on already 0. Yeah, there you go. Refer to that, and we're looking at all the way up there at half a litre.
Bit more.
God, seriously, stop. I can see. Right, I'd call that 500. I'm sure he's going to complain, but you know what? Don't give a crap. And then tip that all in. And you know what? It's pretty accurate. I mean, if you're a pedanticist,
Have another go then.
and as we do in science, you try again. You just have another experiment. See if you get different results, same results. I'd call that around 500. And tipping that in to weigh it up. That's just a little over, around 1.5 grams or 2 grams. And just do a third one.
Third one.
Third and final time of this experiment. Just we can say we've done it and we've tried to show you why you should weigh your water. Call that perfect. And just tipping that in. You get to a total of about 507 grams for that result.
So Oliver, what's your take?
So as you saw with them results, you know we had a range of about 12 to 14 grams. I mean, it's a bit pedantic, but if you are wanting consistent results for the water every time, each time, you know, you're going to want to weigh it, such as, you know, you work at a restaurant or you have a pizza van or something like that. You know, it just provides consistent results.
And I think it's one of the other things is I think you were just slightly under, and then 2 times just slightly over. Now, one of the things I think it makes a bit of a difference with is, of course, when you're shooting for those hydration levels, you can sometimes find that that's the difference between the dough sticking and not sticking. So it's really important to actually weigh it, and then you'll always get consistency because the scales will always give you the accurate measurements, won't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not broken or anything. You know, you got perfectly working scales, you'll be all good.
So our advice is always weigh it. You can measure it if you haven't got weighing, if you don't want to mess around with weighing scales for water, but we would always say to weigh it out, and that's what we do on our channel. Okay, so that's that question nicely wrapped up. Oliver, this is probably your question that you want to ask me, and I think we know what the answer is, don't we?
God. I forget the cat.
Yeah, you got to read the question
Yeah,
out.
I've got to read the question, Anna. So.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, right, start again.
Yeah, so what is that question, Oliver?
Do you want to invest in a stand mixer?
Well, put simply, no, I quite enjoy, and Oliver quite enjoys making stuff by hand. You know, people have got stand mixers. I know why they have them. it's convenient. You can just whack it all in and away it goes. And people will say that, well, you can get better gluten development, so on and so forth. But I just like that authentic kind of like rolling the dough. What do you think, Oliver?
Yeah, it puts forward some very good points. However, for businesses, and large operations of pizza dough, you are going to want a stand mixer because, like kneading 10 kilos of dough with your bare hands is quite hard.
Yeah. And I think the other thing as well would be it'd kill the channel if we bought a stand mixer, because the idea is that we make it all by hand, like possibly most people do. Probably, I know quite a lot of people have stand mixers, but if you've seen some of the prices of them, some of them are absolutely ridiculously priced. And we're from Yorkshire, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we don't do that kind of thing. These are free. They're not. Would you agree?
Apart from the cost of raising children. Yeah.
And you've been very expensive.
Yeah, I bet you were, not.
I were cheap. Okay. Okay, so next question is, and it's a good one, this. What is the temperature of the water when you're making the dough? Now, I'm going to be really honest. Well, you can be really honest and drop me in it if you want.
And unfortunately, what he does do is kind of puts the kettle on and goes, yeah, that'll do. Touches the kettle and goes, yeah, that's fine. So, it will probably be wildly inconsistent with the temperatures of the water, probably ranging from somewhere between 30 and like 50 degrees.
Now, on the channel, I normally say, um, like aired, lukewarm, put your hand in it, cool bath kind of temperature water. So what we've just done, just off camera, is I've just popped the kettle on and I've just done the usual, just putting my hand next to it and going, "Oh, that'll do," like Oliver's just said. So what Oliver's going to do now is going to show you exactly how hot that water is.
So now we're going to measure the temperature of water to see really what lukewarm or bath water temperature is. So just for ease of access, we're just going to quickly pour a little bit of this water in there. We've got our thermometer
The
set.
probe.
The probe, yeah, that's what aliens do to you. So you can see here, not touching the sides of the dish. The water sits at roughly 35 to 36 degrees Celsius.
Okay, next question is, what is the room temperature that you make your dough at? So living in this house and living in the UK, the temperature varies quite wildly. Um, Normally in winter, what would you say, Oliver? 20 degrees?
Oh, I mean, this house temperature ranges somewhere from 15 degrees to about 24 degrees at any given time.
But in the summer, the best place you can get the most consistent temperature, of course, is in the fridge, which is why in the summer you'll sometimes see us doing more longer cold fermentation processes. Whereas in the winter, we normally tend to go for the room temperature 24 hours because of the central heating. You can kind of keep it consistent, but I think that's always a problem, isn't it, for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, keeping that consistency is always difficult. So um, my advice is, if you're in a hot climate, try and use a fridge. That's a nice temperature. Obviously, some of our friends in the US will have got aircon, won't they?
Yeah.
Which is something that we don't have. But in our climate, in the winter, we can pretty much keep a consistent room temperature
Yeah.
about between 19 to 20 odd degrees.
I mean, temperate and cold countries, you should be fine. Not countries, whack it in fridge.
Excellent. Thanks, Oliver. Okay, next question, Oliver.
The recipe says use 7 grams of yeast, but you only use 1. Why?
So in our videos, we tend to use instant yeast. We tend to use two types, just in case, just to answer this question a little bit further. So we sometimes use this Allison's Easy Bake, and we use the Caputo Levanto. Now, with these things, these are concentrated yeasts, so you really don't need a lot of yeast. And what does yeast do, Oliver, when you put too much in?
Blows up.
It blows up, so it makes you feel a bit, doesn't it? I mean, I've got some need to talk, but you're nice and trim. but we don't want you blowing up, do we? So
No.
yeah, you don't. The more yeast that you use, the shorter the fermentation time. There's something called pizza wrap. Give that a whirl. I'm not a massive fan of it, but it does give you the calculations on what to use, and that is really, really pedantic because it goes down into, well, it goes into micrograms, doesn't it? I think they're called accuracy scales on Amazon, but yeah, thanks Oliver for the street name of those scales that they use. But you only need a 1 gram of this. This is hardly anything. 1 gram to 1 kilo, then your water, and then obviously your salt on top of that, which is normally you would say between 20 and 25 grams if you're using a kilogram of flour. Right, okay, so thanks for the questions. Keep the questions coming, use the comments. We're always happy, myself and Oliver, to answer your pizza questions. So let's get down to making some pizza. So we're going to be using the old classic Caputo Pizzeria. This is the most popular, I would say, of all the pizza flours. Is it our favourite?
I mean, in terms of consistency, I mean, it's brilliant. Like, you can buy a bag of this, you know what you're getting. You know, it's like buying custard creams. You sort of just know what you're getting into, don't you?
Yeah, and I would say it is the most consistent, definitely. But I would say there are slightly better ones out there, but this does rank definitely in that Premier League of pizza flours that we've tried over the last 2.5 years. So let's get down to business. Oliver's going to take you through this one, and hopefully we'll get some fantastic looking pizza in about 12 hours' time.
Right, so we're going to start making the pizza dough. Now, before we get started, run over the ingredients. There's just going to be some standard table salt, yeast, fork and spoon, flour, bowl, dish for your salt, and some weighing scales of your choice. Alright, so to get started, I'm going to get us standard instant yeast, pop the top, and weigh out about a gram. Yep. Right. Lid back on. Take that in. All ready. We're then going to weigh out 20 grams of salt. Oh, remember to zero your scales, kids.
I'll let you off.
Alright, so now to the yeast we've weighed out, we're going to add 600 grams of water. Pretty much on the nose there, so you've done that. Just give your yeast a little whisk with your fork to wake it up.
And another little question that we've had is these are scratch resistant bowls, so we don't worry about microplastics in this house.
No.
But if it is a concern to you, use a metal one, but it doesn't look quite good on YouTube if you use a metal bowl.
No. Well, full of lead, microplastics, and all other sorts of crap, so you know, such is life.
Such is life.
Right, so once you've thoroughly whisked your yeast with your water, we're just going to gradually add the flour into the bowl.
So we're using Caputo Pizzeria.
Yeah, standard stuff. Let's add some of that. I'm trying not to spill too much, but you know, and just mix that all together. I mean, it's not the world's hardest thing to do. Once you feel you've whisked that through, you can just add some more.
And you can tell yeast is working there because you've got little air bubbles on top.
I mean, some of that is courtesy of me whisking, but a lot of it is the yeast, yes. Just making sure you, as you do with most things, get around the edges. So now you can see it's starting to look like a batter, like a pancake batter, you could say. A little bit more flour from the bag, mixing it up as standard. Feel it getting thicker, hard to stir. But that's all good. So then soon we'll have some pizza dough ready. Go. A little flour off at sides. Yep.
Okay, mate.
Really see it here starting to come together. It's quite a strain to mix now, but all a sign it's going well. So now to your work surface, you're going to add some of the flour, just to help you work, just like that. And just spread that around your work surface, giving you a nice non-stick area to work about. Then want to just let it pour out. Now it should just sort of stick to itself and come out in one big glob. You'll still need to scrape some of it out though. That's pretty easy, either using your fork or if you want, get a spatula. Rubber spatulas, best tool in kitchen. Another method you can also use is just a bit of flour in. Just mix that round in the bowl. Take your fork out. Just press that down there. There we go. Just mix it round like that. Flour will pick up any loose bits. And you can get a pretty clean bowl. I mean, as much cleanest bowl you're gonna get. Right, so now you're just gonna start to knead your pizza dough as you usually would. Work it about in the flour on the work surface. Just continue to knead that. Right, now I think this is ready for some more flour. I'm just gonna take the rest of the bag on. Just knead it in like we did before. Very rhythmic with it.
Coming along nicely now, Oliver.
Yep.
So what do you think we're ready for next?
Next, get ready for your salt. Looks lovely. Ready for your salt. Gradually add some of your salt. Some of that on. And then just knead it in. Feel all that salt become worked in. You'll know this because your dough won't feel gritty anymore. Feel nice and smooth as it did before you added the salt. Feel that the part of the salt that you added has all worked in. Yes, I'm gonna add the rest of the salt. And just knead that in as you were doing before.
Looking good, Oliver. What's it feeling like?
Feeling pretty good. Nice and smooth. Yeah.
And do you think all the salt's in?
Yeah, I do. It's got a pretty clear consistency. Squished it a bit. No pockets of salt or flour. So
It's looking pretty smooth.
yeah, I think we're pretty ready to go with this. Right, next, just gonna put it in a bowl. It's just like you do with your small dough balls. Just seal it with blades of your hand. Get your bowl from before that you used your mixing in. Put it in and put a covering on. In our case, it's a shower cap. They work very well. Cling film and towels are also acceptable. Right, so now all you're going to do is you're going to leave your dough ball for 8 hours at room temperature.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Oliver.
Yeah.
That's looking terrific. And we'll be back in 8 hours, like you says, to balling it up next.
Yep.
So won't be 2 minutes for you, but for us, it's 8 hours. So catch you in a second. Okay, guys, welcome back. Day after, since Oliver prepped up all the dough, and I think it's looking pretty good. What's it look like, Oliver?
It looks like a dough that's risen.
It's definitely risen in size. So next thing is we need to make some pizza balls, and I think this is going to be 230 grams, and what's in there will give us about 7 dough balls, which will give us a nice 10-inch pizzas.
So in order to ball this dough up, we're going to need some smaller flour. This is a full bag. However, we have a mostly used bag, which we're going to use today. So just start by just putting some of that on your work surface. Spread it about, just gives you a nice non-stick. Open your dough up, looks very nice. And then you see some gluten there, very nice. And then if you just grab some of the dough, you're wanting to weigh these out into 230 gram balls. It's just about on there. A little bit off. Takes us to 230. And then all you're going to do is you're just going to form in a nice tight skin. Once you've done that, like you did with the big dough ball, seal with the blades of your hands at the bottom. Get a tub of your choice, any tub, doesn't matter, as long as it fits. Bit of flour in there, stop it sticking, move it about like that. Got a nice even coat. Bit in the lid, toss it about. Dough ball in, on there, and then that's all good for you to go when you need to use it. Now you're just going to leave these for 4 hours.
Okay, Oliver, what time is it?
4:05.
And what other time is it?
Pizza time.
Pizza time. These dough balls look sensational. So we're going to make a pizza now, stick it in the oven, and then we're going to enjoy the results with you. Okay, guys, so let's make some pizza. So we use some Caputo Samola. Reason why we use this is because it's really, really rough, not coarse flour, and these act as like little ball bearings when we put the pizza onto the peel, and so it'll slide on and slide off a lot more easier. So we have a little bed of that, and then we'll just grab a handful of that, spin it around like so, and then just gently ease that out. Oh, like so. That's that one side. And then what we need to do is roll this in. So that will be the top. This will be the base. So we just need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're back at the top. And then with his fingers, we just need to push out. So what we're wanting to do here, if you're wanting that nice Neapolitan style crust, is to push down and work around in a circle like that, as you can see. And what you're wanting to do is to avoid this area here. You don't want to be pushing air out. This is what's going to give you that classic crust that you see when it's cut. So that if you push down here, you'll push all the air out and you'll not get that classic looking crust. So you want to leave around maybe half a centimetre or so. I'm working that out now. Excellent. So then we can lift this up. There are several other ways of doing this. This is my preferred method, is to just let the pizza base roll away as it gets in that smaller flour, because smaller flour was previously our friend. Now it's a bit of an enemy, because what we want to do is to avoid this pizza base from burning. So pop that like that, sweep the flour away as much as we can get. This will leave a burnt taste if you leave it on your pizza base. Another little shake, and then just stretch that out. Excellent. So as you can see, we've got a nice ridge base. Now sometimes you get these air bubbles, like here, and you just need to pop them, because otherwise you'll end up with it'll just taste a bit burnt. And there's just one there as well, just on the inside. There we go. So next off, we're using this Mutti tomato sauce. This is our favourite. So we're going to put some on. Now when this tomato sauce goes on, speed is kind of like key to stop your pizza sticking to the work surface. But you've got a little layer under there of smaller flour, which will stop it sticking to the work surface. Now some people do prepare the pizza on the actual peel itself. Not a fan of that, because I tend to find that it sticks more to the peel than it would do to the work surface. So next on, we've got some Parmigiano. Put that on. Nice sprinkle that around. A little bit more on. And next, just a little bit of grated mozzarella. Not too much. This stuff can tend to burn in the pizza oven, but I only put a little bit on because I like a little bit of extra cheese. So again, put that on. Next, we're going to be using some of this Sicilia pepperoni. Got this from Amata Foods. This is really, really nice stuff. Relatively inexpensive. Found about £10 for the whole pack, and really, really good stuff it is. So we'll pop some of this around the pizza.
And at home, what's your favourite pizza? Leave it down in the comments. Very interesting to find out.
Always is, Oliver. Quite right. So on with some fresh mozzarella here. So the next job is we need to get a bit of smaller flour onto the pizza peel. That just makes sure that we've got a nice layer. Right, to get this onto the pizza peel, so best thing to do is lift up this front edge like that, and underneath. It's as simple as that. You don't have to go in too hard. And then if you like, you can always stretch out again. If it does go out of shape, you can stretch out and just reform the base to make it a circle. Now what we need to do next is we need to take this outside. So just going to give it a little jiggle. Brilliant. Right, into the pizza oven. Let's go round, Oliver. So there we go, into the oven. Nicely into the oven. And now what we're looking for is on the back edge starting to rise up. And we always warm the pizza turning peel up, just to make sure that it's not going to stop sticking to that pizza. So what we're also looking at here as well is this little gap here just starting to rise up as well, which it is. So that kind of means that this pizza is just about ready for turning. So we'll put that underneath and we'll give it a turn. And that's what was at the back of the oven. So we're getting a nice bit of leopard in. So again, we can hear that pizza sizzling away. And it smells fantastic. What do you think, Oliver?
Smells like bread.
Smells like bread. So now we'll just keep turning that, just so we get a nice even colour on the pizza itself. So that's the frame. Get the main peel out. That looks pretty good to me. Let's get that inside.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look. And I don't know if you can pick it up on my microphone. It looks pretty good. Let's have a look underneath. Yeah, that looks good.